Power. It's everywhere, even when no one talks about it. Every smile, every silence, every decision is a negotiation for power. Some people chase it, others pretend it doesn't matter, but deep down, everyone feels it. That quiet pull between control and submission, respect and rejection, dominance and fear. Power shapes the world, not talent, not kindness, not luck, just power. In this audiobook, you'll uncover 48 timeless laws, rules that the most powerful people in history lived by, and the weakest ignored. These laws are not moral, they are not fair, but they are real. Understand them, and you'll never be blindsided again. Ignore them, and you'll always wonder why others seem one step ahead. So sit back, listen closely, and remember, the moment you understand power, the game changes forever. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Power is a quiet force. It doesn't need to shout, and it doesn't need to be seen. True power moves in silence, influencing everything around it without ever revealing how. The first law of power is simple, but most people break it without realizing. Never outshine the master. In every room, in every system, there is always someone above you. Someone who believes they are the center of gravity, the one who must be respected, the one who must feel in control. Their position is not just about authority, it is about identity. They need to believe they are wiser, sharper, and more experienced than everyone around them. When you shine too brightly in their presence, even by accident, you make them feel smaller. And when powerful people feel small, they don't admire you, they eliminate you. You may think your talent will speak for itself. You may believe your effort, your brilliance, your honesty will earn you respect. But power does not reward talent, it rewards perception. And perception is fragile. If your light threatens to outshine the one who stands above you, they will not see your glow as inspiration, they will see it as danger. Look at history. Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister of France, served under King Louis XIV. He was intelligent, charming, admired by everyone at court. One night, to honor the king, Fouquet threw a celebration so magnificent that even the stars seemed to watch. Music, feasts, fireworks, everything was perfect. But the king didn't see loyalty that night. He saw competition. He saw a man whose brilliance made the crown look dull. Days later, Fouquet was arrested, his fortune taken, his name erased. He had made the oldest mistake in power. He had outshone the master. When you stand before someone who holds authority, never forget their need to feel superior. Never forget that respect is oxygen to power. If you take that oxygen away, they suffocate. And when they suffocate, they strike back. You don't need to dim your light. You just need to direct it wisely. Be the moon, not the sun. Reflect light, don't blind with it. Let your strength appear as a reflection of their greatness. Let them feel that your rise is because of their guidance. When they feel ownership over your success, they'll protect you. When they feel threatened by it, they'll destroy you. Make your brilliance subtle. Make your compliments sincere. Ask questions that allow them to teach even when you already know the answer. The wise never show all their knowledge at once. They know that timing is everything. Power moves slowly. It does not rush. The student who becomes the master too quickly is the one who never gets the chance to rule. You may be ready for more, but if the one above you isn't ready to release control, you'll only burn the bridge you need to cross. Let others believe they are in charge. Let them think the spotlight is still theirs. Stand just outside its glow, patient, observant, prepared. Because the time will come when the light fades from them, and the world will turn to you, naturally, effortlessly, without resistance. The tallest tree is always the first to face the wind. The brightest flame burns out the fastest. Power isn't about constant visibility. It's about controlled revelation. Reveal what you must, when it serves you, and nothing more. Remember this truth. Those who appear humble rise quietly. Those who demand attention fall loudly. In every relationship of power, a boss, a mentor, a parent, a leader, learn what they need to feel secure. Feed that need. Give them the illusion of control, because in power, illusion often matters more than truth. You don't win by showing how great you are. You win by allowing others to feel great because of you. When the master feels safe in your presence, your future is secure. But the moment they feel overshadowed, your downfall begins. Power is not a competition of talent. It's a dance of egos. And the most skilled dancer knows when to lead and when to follow. So move with grace. Observe quietly. Wait for your moment. Because real power doesn't come from shining the brightest. It comes from knowing when to let others believe they are the light. Never outshine the master.
Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Friends are easy to trust. They share your history, your laughter, your victories. They smile when you succeed and mourn when you fail. They know your secrets, your weaknesses, your desires. And because of that familiarity, we often assume that friends are loyal by default, that they will protect us, defend us, and always stand by our side. But power does not move according to loyalty or sentiment. Power moves according to self-interest. And even the closest friend, the one who seems inseparable, has a threshold where loyalty bends or breaks. History is filled with stories of betrayal by those we trusted most. Julius Caesar, one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen, was stabbed by men he called friends. They had dined with him, celebrated victories with him, laughed with him, and yet their ambition and envy overpowered the bonds of friendship. They acted in secret because power is often quiet, patient, and invisible until it strikes. Friends are easy to comfort, predictable, familiar. Enemies are alert, watchful, aware of the stakes. A friend may envy you quietly, resent you privately, and betray you casually. An enemy, on the other hand, will reveal their intentions clearly. They will test you openly, challenge you directly, and in doing so, make the game of power transparent. This is the paradox. Enemies can often be more reliable than friends. Because you know what they want, you can anticipate it. You can strategize. You can control interactions in a way that friends, in their complacency, will never allow. Trust is not something to be given freely, even to those who call themselves your allies. It is a resource to be measured, distributed, and observed. Friends, like soft shadows, can slip into corners you cannot see. They can undermine silently, believing it is justified, believing that love excuses ambition, believing that loyalty is earned simply by proximity. Enemies, however, operate openly. They challenge you. They force you to grow. They force you to see yourself clearly. If you learn to use their predictable hostility, their obvious opposition, you gain insight, strategy, and opportunity. Consider the lessons of history. Emperor Augustus, the founder of Rome's empire, knew this principle well. He maintained control not by surrounding himself only with loyal friends, but by keeping former enemies close. He transformed potential threats into tools of influence. He did not trust blindly, but he leveraged openly hostile individuals to solidify his reign. By doing so, he reduced the chance of secret betrayal and turned potential danger into structured advantage. The same lesson applies in modern life. A competitor at work, an outspoken critic, a rival who seems relentless. These are the people who force you to sharpen your mind. Their intentions are clear, their stakes visible. You can anticipate, plan, and, when necessary, neutralize threats before they strike. Friends, conversely, operate under the cover of comfort, often leaving their envy or resentment hidden until the moment it is too late. Power demands awareness. It demands the courage to question loyalty even among those closest to you. It requires a mindset that sees beyond sentiment and embraces strategy. You must observe, test, and measure. You must understand that those who smile the widest may also wield the sharpest knife. This law does not mean you must isolate yourself from friendships. True power is never lonely by choice. It is solitary by design when necessary. What it does mean is that you must cultivate discernment. Learn to recognize the signs of subtle envy, the hints of resentment, the small acts of undermining that often go unnoticed. These are not always malicious, they are human, but in the realm of power, they can have monumental consequences. To navigate this reality, one must master the art of appearances. Treat friends with kindness and respect, of course, honor shared history, celebrate victories together. But do not mistake familiarity for security. Maintain boundaries, keep certain knowledge private. Guard your most valuable insights, your strategies, your weaknesses. Never allow closeness to become vulnerability. Simultaneously, learn the value of enemies. Recognize that their opposition is predictable. Observe patterns. Listen carefully. When an enemy challenges you, they provide opportunity. They reveal weaknesses in your own strategy, highlight areas that need attention, and teach you lessons that friends may never dare to deliver. Enemies are honest in ways friends cannot be. They do not hide their intentions. Their actions, often bold and aggressive, illuminate truths that are otherwise invisible. There is also a subtle power in using enemies strategically. Alliances can be formed temporarily to achieve mutual benefit, even between opponents. A former rival may become an asset if handled wisely. By negotiating, observing, and leveraging the natural tension between opposition and opportunity, you gain advantage. You learn to convert threat into resource, risk into instrument, and challenge into progress. Consider Abraham Lincoln. During his presidency, he appointed former political rivals to his cabinet. They were men who had opposed him, who criticized him, who may have wished to see him fail. Yet Lincoln understood the value of their opposition. Their presence kept him sharp, challenged him to refine his decisions, and ultimately strengthened his leadership. By surrounding himself with enemies, he maintained control over the narrative, guided the energy in productive ways, and transformed potential threats into collaborators. This is the essence of the law. Trust selectively, act strategically, and understand human nature deeply. Do not allow comfort to blind you. Do not assume friendship guarantees safety. Every relationship carries risk, and every risk carries opportunity. In practical terms, this means testing loyalty continuously, observing reactions carefully, and never revealing everything you know or feel. Keep critical insights private, share only what is necessary, and always maintain an internal compass that guides your perceptions of others. A friend who hides resentment is more dangerous than an enemy who shows it openly. One reveals themselves in time, the other may strike without warning. The law also teaches resilience. Betrayal, when it comes, is inevitable. Accept it as a part of the human condition. Prepare for it, learn from it, and transform it into strength. The wise individual does not crumble under betrayal. They anticipate it, they absorb it, and they emerge stronger, with a clearer understanding of who can be trusted and who must be watched. This law is not a guide to cynicism nor a manifesto for paranoia. It is a roadmap for navigating the complex landscape of human relationships with clarity, strategy, and awareness. Friends are valuable, but trust is not a free gift. Enemies are dangerous, but their honesty is instructive. Recognize the difference, and you wield power more effectively than those who ignore it. History, experience, and psychology converge on one simple truth. The people closest to you are not always the ones who will protect you. The people who oppose you are not always the ones who will destroy you. Learn to distinguish between intent and appearance, loyalty and convenience, comfort and opportunity. By mastering this principle, you learn patience, observation, and strategy. You learn to move in a world where appearances are deceiving, where alliances shift, and where understanding human nature is the greatest tool of all. Power is rarely about friendship or enmity alone. It is about perception, control, and awareness. Friends can be blind, enemies can be transparent. Both are teachers if you know how to learn. In every interaction, ask yourself, who benefits? Who is sincere? Who is watching? Who is waiting? And who is using the comfort of friendship as a weapon? Trust selectively. Observe relentlessly. Learn strategically, and remember, sometimes the enemy you fear is easier to predict than the friend you embrace blindly. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. And in doing so, you step closer to understanding the true currents of power.
Law 3. Conceal your intentions. In the game of power, what you reveal is often less important than what you hide. People are naturally curious, naturally suspicious, and naturally driven by self-interest. If they can predict your moves, if they understand your strategy, if they know your ultimate goal, they will act against you. They will obstruct you, manipulate you, or worse, they will use your own transparency as a weapon. Concealing your intentions is not about deceit for its own sake. It is about strategy, awareness, and the quiet manipulation of perception. It is about creating space to act without interference and the freedom to guide outcomes without resistance. History is filled with examples of individuals who failed not because of lack of skill, but because they revealed too much too soon. Napoleon Bonaparte, for all his brilliance, often lost ground because his ambitions were too transparent. His enemies anticipated his moves, adapted their strategies, and prepared for his campaigns. By contrast, those who move silently, subtly, with purpose concealed, often achieve victory with minimal resistance. The simplest truth is this: when others know your plans, they will always try to influence them. They will attempt to alter the path you have chosen, to divert your energy, or to claim your success as their own. Transparency is a gift to others, and those who give it freely often pay a high price. This does not mean you must be secretive to the point of paranoia. It means you must be deliberate in what you reveal and to whom. Words are tools, actions are signals, but intentions, the core of your strategy, must remain veiled until the right moment. Consider the lessons from politics. Leaders, negotiators, and diplomats who reveal their goals prematurely often invite sabotage. Committees, councils, and boards will shift dynamics to suit their own agendas. Opponents will anticipate your moves and strike first. Those who conceal their ultimate objectives maintain control over timing, framing, and perception. They act like shadows, unseen until the decisive moment arrives. There is also a psychological dimension to this law. Human beings are naturally reactive. When people perceive your intentions, their emotions are triggered. Fear, envy, suspicion, and resistance emerge automatically. By keeping your intentions hidden, you minimize these emotional responses. You reduce the likelihood of interference and increase the chance that your plans will unfold as intended. Concealment is not a wall, it is a curtain. Behind it, you observe, you calculate, you adapt. You allow others to interpret your actions according to their assumptions, their biases, and their desires. In this ambiguity, you gain power, because uncertainty is always more dangerous to others than to you.
Even in personal relationships, this principle applies. Revealing too much of your ambitions, desires, or plans to friends, colleagues, or competitors invites manipulation. People may not act against you directly, but their support may shift based on their perception of your goals. By concealing intentions, you retain control over how and when your strategy is executed. There are techniques to mastering this law. Speak in generalities, avoid absolute declarations, and use misdirection when necessary. Allow actions to suggest one path, while your true strategy moves along another. Let curiosity guide others, but never give them the map. In negotiation, in leadership, in competition, the one who conceals their ultimate objective controls the narrative and maintains the advantage. History offers countless examples. Consider Sun Tzu, the ancient strategist. In his classic writings, he emphasized the value of deception. All warfare is based on deception. By hiding your intentions, you lead opponents to act in ways that benefit you, often without them realizing it. You do not need to lie, you only need to guide perception, creating a reality in which others' actions align with your objectives. Even in everyday life, concealing intentions is a form of self-preservation. In business, revealing too much about your future projects invites competitors to copy, undermine, or preempt you. In personal goals, disclosing too much to friends or family can lead to unsolicited advice, doubts, or pressures that divert energy from your path. By keeping your intentions private, you maintain autonomy and strategic advantage. There is a subtle artistry to concealment. It is not about being cold, distant, or deceptive in a malicious way. It is about mastery over information, understanding the natural reactions of others, and maintaining flexibility. When your intentions are hidden, you can adapt, change course, and respond to challenges without being boxed in by expectations. Think of it like chess. If your opponent can see your next moves, they will counter them. If they cannot, they react to the board, not to you. Their energy is misdirected, their responses delayed, and your strategy proceeds smoothly. Concealment allows you to dictate the pace of interaction, the framing of outcomes, and the perception of control. Power at its core is about perception. People respond to the signals you send. By carefully controlling which signals are visible and which are hidden, you influence the behavior of others while keeping your own intentions protected. This is a skill cultivated over time, requiring observation, patience, and discipline. Remember, concealment is not permanent. There comes a moment when revealing your intentions is necessary, when action must be taken, when opportunity is ripe, when timing aligns with your objectives. The mastery lies in knowing when to lift the curtain and when to keep it drawn. Reveal too early, and you invite interference. Reveal too late, and opportunity may pass. Practical application involves subtlety. Present your actions without explanation. Let others interpret them according to their own biases. Offer hints, but never complete clarity. Allow curiosity to shape others' responses. In negotiation, avoid stating absolute positions. Frame your statements in ways that suggest flexibility, while your true intentions remain constant and secure. Even deception, when necessary, must be controlled. The goal is not to create mistrust unnecessarily, but to protect strategy and maintain freedom of action. By guiding perception without creating overt conflict, you create an environment in which you move unimpeded while others react according to your silent design. In personal development, this law teaches restraint. Do not broadcast your ambitions. Avoid oversharing plans. Let results speak before revealing the blueprint.
Trust in your timing and understand that patience is as powerful as action. The right moment, carefully chosen, magnifies impact. Concealing your intentions is a shield and a weapon. It protects you from interference, allows strategic flexibility, and ensures that the power of your actions is maximized. Those who reveal too much too soon expose themselves to obstacles, criticism, and sabotage. Those who conceal wisely maintain advantage, control perception, and achieve their goals with minimal resistance. To master this law, cultivate discipline over your words, your actions, and your disclosures. Observe reactions carefully. Test responses subtly. Learn to misdirect without falsehood, to hint without exposing. Understand that control of perception itself is a form of power, and that what others do not know cannot harm you. In every interaction, every decision, every plan, ask yourself, is this visible to others? What will they infer? How can I guide their perception while protecting my ultimate goal? When you answer these questions, you gain mastery over the currents of human behavior, and your intentions, once concealed, become unstoppable forces in motion. Never reveal your strategy fully. Never trust that familiarity guarantees security. Learn to use concealment as a tool, a shield, and a weapon. In doing so, you step closer to true power, moving through the world with the quiet confidence of one who understands that visibility is dangerous, and that mystery, patience, and strategy create influence that cannot be resisted. Master this law, and you will learn the art of moving unseen, the strength of subtlety, and the freedom of concealed intention. Your plans, your ambitions, and your destiny remain yours alone, shielded from interference, and ready to unfold at the precise moment you choose.
Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Words are powerful. They can inspire, convince, and charm. They can comfort, disarm, or manipulate. But they are also dangerous. Every word spoken is an opportunity for misinterpretation, for revealing weakness, for losing control. The fourth law of power is deceptively simple. Always say less than necessary. The less you reveal, the more you control. Silence is not emptiness. It is a tool, a strategy, and a shield. When you speak too much, you expose yourself. You reveal intentions, fears, ambitions, and thoughts that others can exploit. Your words give away the shape of your strategy, the limits of your patience, the depth of your knowledge. Even the most careful tone can betray insight or emotion. Power thrives in ambiguity. People are compelled to fill in gaps, to interpret what is not said. If you speak sparingly, they project their assumptions onto you, often inflating your capabilities or misjudging your intentions in your favor. Mystery becomes a magnet for respect, attention, and influence. History offers countless lessons. Consider Louis XIV, the Sun King. His presence at court was legendary, not because he revealed everything, but because he mastered restraint. Every word, every gesture was deliberate. Courtiers never knew the full extent of his thoughts, and that uncertainty made them cautious, deferential, and eager to please. In the absence of clarity, they projected power onto him that was far greater than any single action could convey. In contrast, those who speak too freely often undermine themselves. Napoleon Bonaparte, brilliant as he was, occasionally revealed his plans prematurely. Advisors, generals, and enemies learned to anticipate his moves. His words, once released, became weapons in the hands of those he sought to control. Excessive speech is a liability, even for the most intelligent. Saying less is also a form of persuasion. When you speak sparingly, your words carry weight. People listen more carefully. Every phrase, every sentence is measured, deliberate, and impactful. Noise dilutes meaning. Silence, punctuated with precise expression, magnifies it. This principle is not about avoiding conversation, it is about mastery over expression. In negotiation, in leadership, in daily life, restraint ensures authority. When you speak less, you are perceived as thoughtful, controlled, and deliberate. People respect those who do not need to fill every space with sound, because silence signals confidence. Observe successful leaders. They rarely speak without purpose. When they do, their words shape outcomes, guide decisions, and influence perceptions. Their silence is a canvas, and their few words are brushstrokes that define reality. They understand that people respond more to suggestion than to declaration, more to implication than to explanation. In personal relationships, this law has profound effects. Those who talk too much reveal weaknesses, insecurities, and vulnerabilities. They give away the map of their emotions and intentions. Those who speak less, in contrast, cultivate intrigue, respect, and influence. Silence allows observation. It allows understanding. It allows the subtle shaping of others' perceptions and behavior. There is also a psychological advantage. People tend to fill silence with their own assumptions. If you withhold information, they project desires, fears, and expectations onto you. In doing so, they act according to your influence without realizing it. When you speak sparingly, you become the center of their attention, the object of speculation, and the source of subtle control. This law operates in social dynamics as well. In meetings, in public forums, in negotiation, those who dominate the conversation rarely control it. They reveal too much, leave themselves exposed, and provide ammunition to others. Those who speak less listen more, learn more, and guide outcomes quietly. They choose words as instruments, not as filler. Every sentence is intentional, every phrase deliberate. Even humor and charm must be measured. A witty remark, a well-timed comment, a brief observation can endear, influence, or intimidate. Excess, however, breeds familiarity, diminishes authority, and exposes vulnerability. Brevity, in contrast, creates aura, respect, and latent power. This law also applies to written communication. Emails, letters, and messages should be concise, purposeful, and controlled. Reveal only what is necessary to achieve your goal. Too much explanation dilutes your authority and provides opportunities for misinterpretation. Control the narrative through restraint, and others will react according to your design. Consider the lessons of diplomacy. Ambassadors, negotiators, and statesmen who reveal intentions, desires, or limitations too freely often find themselves manipulated. Those who maintain ambiguity retain strategic advantage. Silence is a negotiation tool. It invites the other party to reveal more than they intended. It forces them to act, speculate, and negotiate on your terms. Even in moments of conflict, saying less preserves power. Arguments, debates, and disputes often escalate because people speak too much, trying to convince, justify, or dominate. Those who master silence gain clarity, composure, and authority. They let others exhaust themselves in speech,
while they remain centered and strategic. There is an art to this law. It is not about muteness. It is about precision, timing, and the strategic deployment of words. Speak when it serves you. Speak when it influences. Speak when it commands attention. Otherwise, remain quiet. Let others reveal themselves. Let the world speculate. Let silence do the heavy lifting. In leadership, restraint is a form of strength. A leader who speaks less allows subordinates to act more freely, to reveal their capabilities, and to become invested in outcomes. The less the leader explains, the more others fill the gaps, often aligning themselves with the leader's objectives unconsciously. Authority grows quietly, invisibly, and unchallenged. In personal influence, saying less creates curiosity. People are drawn to those who are not easily understood, who do not lay everything bare. Mystery is magnetic. When you speak sparingly, others lean in. They pay attention. They value each word more deeply. They internalize your ideas, align with your vision, and respond according to your guidance without conscious realization. The psychological dimension cannot be overstated. Humans are pattern seekers. They crave explanation. They desire clarity. By withholding full information, you force them to project, speculate, and assume. Their assumptions, more often than not, benefit you. Every word you speak less is a step toward influence. Every silence, a reinforcement of authority. Practical mastery of this law requires discipline. Train yourself to pause before speaking, reflect before responding. Avoid unnecessary elaboration. Speak with clarity, brevity, and intention. In moments of tension, remain calm, measured, and concise. Resist the urge to fill space with words, because every unnecessary word is a potential leak, a risk, or a tool for others. Even compliments, encouragement, or praise are more impactful when measured. Excess diminishes value. Restraint elevates it. A few well-chosen words carry more weight than paragraphs of explanation. The quiet observer, the careful speaker, the measured commentator commands attention without appearing to try. This law is timeless. From the halls of kings to the boardrooms of modern corporations, from personal relationships to global negotiations, those who speak less than necessary consistently wield more influence.
Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. It is invisible, yet it shapes every interaction, every decision, and every opportunity. It travels faster than money, influence, or even skill. Once damaged, it can take a lifetime to repair. And in the realm of power, there is no second chance for those who underestimate its value. The fifth law of power is simple. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Every action, every word, every public or private interaction contributes to the story people tell about you. People do not respond only to who you are. They respond to who they believe you are. Their perception becomes reality. And in that perception, your power either grows or diminishes. Reputation is more than image. It is the currency of trust, the measure of influence, and the foundation on which authority is built. A strong reputation precedes you. It opens doors that skill alone cannot. It protects you from attack, deters competitors, and inspires loyalty. Conversely, a weak or tarnished reputation invites scrutiny, challenges, and betrayal. History demonstrates this principle in clear terms. Consider Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt.
Her reputation was carefully cultivated through every appearance, every alliance, every relationship. She was not merely a ruler, she was a symbol of intelligence, charm, and strategic power. Her enemies feared the perception of her influence as much as her actual actions. In every city she visited, in every court she entered, the reputation she projected shaped the reactions of kings, generals, and citizens alike. Even in modern times, reputation remains paramount. Leaders, entrepreneurs, and public figures understand that a positive reputation attracts allies, resources, and opportunities. Conversely, a scandal, rumor, or mistake, no matter how small, can unravel years of influence. Once tainted, the perception of competence, integrity, or strength becomes difficult to restore. Guarding reputation begins with awareness. Understand that every action is a message, whether intended or not. A careless word, an impulsive gesture, or a moment of emotional weakness can travel farther than intended and be interpreted in ways that damage perception. People judge based on appearances, often ignoring context. Protecting your reputation requires vigilance, foresight, and discipline. But reputation is not merely defensive. It is also a tool. By consciously shaping how you are perceived, you influence others' behavior. Appear competent, confident, and reliable, and people will defer to you, support your initiatives, and follow your guidance. Appear weak, indecisive, or unreliable, and even the most loyal allies may hesitate, question, or abandon you. The world rewards perception as much as, if not more than, reality. There is also a strategic advantage in using reputation proactively. Consider the general who cultivates a fearsome reputation. His enemies hesitate, overthink, or avoid confrontation. The entrepreneur whose reliability is unquestioned secures partnerships with minimal negotiation. The leader whose wisdom is recognized commands attention and influence before speaking. Reputation, when managed wisely, multiplies your power far beyond what your abilities alone would allow. However, the fragile nature of reputation means it must be constantly protected. Enemies, rivals, and opportunists will seek to undermine it at every chance. Gossip, rumor, misrepresentation, and even unintended missteps can erode trust. By monitoring perception, addressing threats early, and reinforcing positive narratives, you maintain the foundation upon which all influence is built. This law also underscores the value of selective association. The people you choose to align with, publicly or privately, reflect upon your reputation. Allies with questionable integrity, partners with dubious intentions, or friends prone to scandal can all tarnish your image by proximity. Guard your reputation not only through personal conduct, but also through the company you keep. Those who surround themselves with respect and competence bolster their own standing. Those who fail to choose carefully invite weakness and vulnerability. History is again instructive. Consider the downfall of Mark Antony. Brilliant, ambitious, and charismatic, he nevertheless aligned himself too closely with Cleopatra in ways that alienated Rome and tarnished his reputation among his peers. Talent and success were insufficient to overcome the damage perception inflicted on his credibility. Reputation, once compromised, can negate even the greatest achievements. Practical application requires constant attention. First, cultivate integrity in both action and appearance. Let your conduct be consistent with the image you wish to project. Avoid necessary risk to your standing. Maintain discretion in speech and behavior, and exercise judgment in public and private engagements. Second, anticipate challenges.
Enemies will exploit weakness, misinterpretation, and rumor. Preemptively managing these factors through clarity, diplomacy, and strategic communication reduces vulnerability and reinforces credibility. Third, repair damage swiftly. Reputation is resilient, but only if addressed promptly. Allowing slights, rumors, or missteps to linger gives them power. Address threats to perception decisively, correct misconceptions, and restore confidence in your integrity and competence. Fourth, cultivate a narrative. Reputation is shaped not only by what you do, but how others perceive and interpret your actions. Strategic storytelling, carefully curated visibility, and deliberate demonstrations of skill and reliability reinforce the image you wish to project. Let others witness your competence, integrity, and wisdom consistently so that their perception aligns with the reality you intend. There's also power in reputation as deterrence. A respected, feared, or admired reputation discourages interference, protects your position, and magnifies influence. When others perceive you as capable, decisive, or strategic, they are more likely to defer, negotiate favorably, and respect boundaries. Reputation amplifies power without requiring constant action because it shapes behavior automatically. Consider business leaders who have cultivated strong reputations for decisiveness and competence. Negotiators approach them cautiously, competitors hesitate, and allies are motivated to perform at higher levels. The power of reputation lies not only in perception, but in the behavioral consequences it generates. Those who understand and manage this dynamic wield influence far beyond what skill alone would allow. In social relationships, reputation serves a similar function. Trust, credibility, and reliability are currencies. Once established, they facilitate cooperation, support, and loyalty. Once damaged, they breed suspicion, hesitation, and conflict. Guarding reputation, therefore, is both defensive and proactive. It is the first line of protection against sabotage, misunderstanding, and rivalry. Reputation is cumulative. Every interaction, every word spoken, every visible action contributes. Small missteps, repeated over time, erode credibility. Conversely, consistent demonstration of competence, judgment, and integrity reinforces it. Success is often less about individual brilliance and more about the perception of reliability, consistency, and strategic insight. It is important to note that reputation cannot be managed through manipulation alone. Authenticity and alignment between words, actions, and values are essential. Those who attempt to fabricate credibility without substance are eventually exposed. Reputation must be earned, maintained, and protected through deliberate conduct, strategic awareness, and disciplined judgment. The law also highlights the importance of vigilance. Even a minor insult, misrepresentation, or unguarded comment can accumulate into perceptional damage. Those who fail to monitor and maintain their reputation risk losing influence over time, even without
Law 6. Court attention at all costs. In a world filled with noise, competition, and constant distraction, visibility is power. To be ignored is to be irrelevant. To be forgotten is to be powerless. Those who understand this law know that attention is the most valuable currency of influence, and they cultivate it relentlessly. The sixth law of power is clear. Court attention at all costs. Seek it, command it, and protect it, because attention is the foundation upon which influence is built. Without it, skill, intelligence, and strategy are wasted. The world rewards those who are seen, remembered, and discussed. Those who vanish into the background, no matter how capable, are often overlooked, undervalued, and ultimately powerless. History is filled with examples. Consider P.T. Barnum, the famous showman. His genius was not merely in spectacle, but in his understanding that attention itself generates opportunity. He created events, scandals, and curiosities designed to captivate the public eye. Some of his stunts were controversial, even absurd, but they ensured that he and his endeavors were always discussed, remembered, and revered. Attention, once captured, multiplied influence exponentially. Attention works as both shield and weapon. When you are noticed, your presence alone can deter challengers. It creates an aura, a sense of significance that cannot be ignored. When you court attention strategically, you shape perception. You become the reference point, the standard against which others are measured. Influence flows to those who are visible because people respond to what they perceive. However, this law is not about frivolity, arrogance, or constant self-display. It is about deliberate, controlled, and strategic engagement with attention. Too much visibility without purpose can backfire, drawing scrutiny, criticism, or resentment. Too little, and you fade into obscurity. Mastery lies in balancing visibility with discretion, in making your presence felt without revealing vulnerability. Even in personal and professional life, those who command attention gain leverage. A colleague whose work, ideas, or presence are consistently noticed is more likely to be promoted, trusted, and followed. A friend whose charisma, humor, or insight is recognized becomes influential in social circles. Those who fade into the background are often overlooked, regardless of competence. The principle extends beyond mere presence. It is about creating memorable impressions. First impressions matter, but lasting impressions are cultivated over time. Every action, every interaction, every word has the potential to capture attention. Be deliberate in how you present yourself. Cultivate habits, gestures, and behaviors that reinforce visibility, distinction, and influence. Consider the lessons of history again. Napoleon Bonaparte understood the power of attention. His strategic public appearances, his careful orchestration of victories, and his deliberate image projection made him larger than life. Even those who never met him feared and admired him because of the stories, images, and rumors circulating about his brilliance. Attention, carefully courted, amplified his power far beyond his immediate capabilities. There is also a psychological dimension to attention. People are drawn to the extraordinary, the bold, and the noticeable. Those who remain invisible are ignored, while those who command attention are emulated, followed, and remembered. This principle works across all domains: politics, business, social relationships, and personal development. Visibility creates perceived value, which translates into real influence. Mastering this law requires understanding human psychology. People naturally assign significance to those who are observed. Fame, reputation, and notoriety all leverage the same principle. Attention elevates influence. Conversely, anonymity diminishes it. The quiet, capable individual may achieve some success, but those who court attention deliberately shape the world's perception and gain disproportionate power. Court attention strategically, not recklessly. Controversy, boldness, and even eccentricity can be tools if deployed thoughtfully. Create moments that capture interest, provoke thought, or evoke emotion. Make people notice you, discuss you, and remember you. Attention itself becomes a force multiplier, drawing resources, allies, and opportunities toward you. Consider artists, leaders, and innovators. Those whose work, ideas, or personality are widely discussed wield influence far beyond their immediate skill. Visibility creates credibility, perception of expertise, and authority. Even flaws or criticism can be leveraged if attention is maintained, because engagement is more valuable than indifference.
There is also a strategic element in scarcity. Attention, like any currency, must be managed. Too much exposure without substance diminishes value. Too little leaves you irrelevant. The key is timing, impact, and consistency. Appear when necessary, act when appropriate, and always leave an impression that lingers in memory. Reputation and attention are intertwined. Visibility without integrity can be fleeting. Attention that is memorable, respected, or provocative creates lasting influence. Attention that is trivial, careless, or poorly managed invites criticism, diminishes credibility, and undermines power. Balance visibility with substance, presence with purpose, and recognition with strategic foresight. Practical application includes deliberate self-presentation. Cultivate a personal brand, style, or behavior that is distinct, recognizable, and compelling. Make every interaction, public appearance, or communication contribute to your visibility. Let your presence resonate, leaving others with a clear impression of competence, uniqueness, or influence. Even subtle forms of attention-seeking are powerful when executed with strategy. A well-timed comment, a remarkable accomplishment, or a calculated gesture can draw focus without excessive effort. Attention is amplified by context, anticipation, and narrative. Craft moments that are memorable, repeatable, and shareable. Attention is also defensive. Those who are visible are harder to attack anonymously. Reputation combined with attention creates deterrence. Critics, rivals, and competitors are less likely to challenge individuals who are widely observed, respected, or feared. The perception of visibility itself creates protection because everyone is watching and interference carries consequences. However, avoid the trap of seeking attention blindly. Visibility without strategy is dangerous. Those who court attention without purpose invite scrutiny, envy, and resistance. Their influence is fragile, their credibility questioned, and their power unstable. Strategic attention is purposeful, controlled, and aligned with long-term objectives. In social, professional, and personal contexts, deliberate attention management multiplies influence. Be memorable, be distinctive, be present in ways that serve your objectives. Avoid being predictable, unremarkable, or invisible. Let the world notice your contributions, your presence, and your capabilities. Visibility attracts opportunity, loyalty, and deference. The law also teaches that all attention is not equal. Positive attention builds power. Negative attention, if managed carefully, can also be leveraged. Scandal, conflict, or controversy can amplify visibility if navigated strategically. Indifference, however, is the greatest threat. To be ignored is to be powerless, no matter your skill, intelligence, or resources. Power thrives in the visible. Influence grows with recognition. Opportunity follows attention. Those who master this law understand that every action, every appearance, every word contributes to perception. Every interaction is an opportunity to capture focus, shape narrative, and magnify impact. Mastering this law requires courage, creativity, and strategic foresight. Seek recognition boldly, act decisively, and craft a presence that cannot be ignored. Leverage visibility as both shield and tool, and allow attention to multiply the effect of your actions. Those who court attention at all costs rarely go unnoticed, often command influence disproportionate to their resources, and remain central in the dynamics of power. Remember, in the economy of influence, attention is the most valuable currency. Without it, talent, skill, and strategy are wasted. With it, even modest abilities are magnified into extraordinary influence. Seek it relentlessly, manage it strategically, and protect it carefully. Court attention at all costs, and your presence, power, and potential will expand far beyond what skill or force alone could achieve.
Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Power is amplified when you can leverage the talents, labor, and efforts of others. The most influential leaders in history did not succeed alone. They understood one fundamental truth: your energy is finite, but the contributions of others can be multiplied infinitely if guided wisely. This is the essence of the seventh law of power. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. It is not deceit for its own sake, nor is it mere manipulation. It is strategy, efficiency, and the art of influence. By delegating tasks, harnessing skill, and absorbing the outcomes, you expand your capacity, extend your reach, and consolidate your reputation. Power flows to those who appear capable, productive, and effective. Sometimes achieving that appearance requires orchestrating contributions behind the scenes. History provides countless examples. Thomas Edison is often credited with inventing the light bulb, yet he worked with teams of skilled scientists, engineers, and technicians. He understood the importance of guiding efforts, shaping outcomes, and ultimately positioning himself as the visionary behind the achievement. The work was collective, but the credit was singular, and singular credit magnified his influence, reputation, and legacy. Delegation is a tool, but taking credit is an art. It requires subtlety, timing, and psychological understanding. Recognize the work, harness it, and ensure the perception of success is associated with your guidance and leadership. People naturally assign influence to visible results, and those who control perception command authority. The law also teaches efficiency. Time, energy, and focus are limited. By leveraging the labor of others, you free yourself to focus on strategy, innovation, and positioning. You multiply your impact while conserving personal resources. Those who insist on doing everything themselves are limited, exhausted, and eventually surpassed by those who can orchestrate collective effort effectively. Even in modern life, this principle holds true. Successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and influencers surround themselves with capable teams. They delegate tasks, empower individuals, and extract value from collective effort. Yet the perception of success is carefully managed. When achievements are publicly attributed to the leader, their influence grows, even if the work was performed by others. Consider Napoleon Bonaparte once again. His victories were not solely the result of personal action, but of brilliant orchestration of generals, soldiers, and logistical networks. He positioned himself as the architect of success. The public, the soldiers, and the allies all credited him with triumphs, magnifying his reputation far beyond the scope of his direct actions. This is strategic amplification, using others' labor to elevate influence while maintaining the perception of singular brilliance. Psychologically, people accept this naturally. Most humans unconsciously differ credit to authority figures or visible leaders. They assume that influence and skill lie where perception suggests, not necessarily where effort originates. By managing perception, you align this natural bias to your advantage. People are willing to contribute, and their contributions reinforce your power, as long as you guide, acknowledge subtly, and maintain authority over recognition. This law requires tact. Claiming all credit overtly risks resentment, rebellion, or sabotage. Subtlety is key. Recognize the work in ways that do not diminish your authority. Praise selectively, highlight achievement as part of a larger vision, and always maintain the perception that the outcome, strategy, or innovation flows from your guidance. The perception of leadership is as important as the work itself. Consider the realm of business. Entrepreneurs who master this law inspire teams, guide projects, and ensure success is associated with their vision. Innovators, managers, and executives who fail to manage perception risk being overshadowed by their own teams. The work may succeed, but without visible leadership, influence diminishes. By strategically managing recognition, you harness effort, consolidate reputation, and expand power.
This principle is also about timing. Credit should be taken when it reinforces authority, consolidates influence, or positions you advantageously. Premature claims risk exposure, resentment, or backlash. Delayed acknowledgement can be used to strengthen loyalty, enhance reputation, or manage narrative. Strategic timing is as crucial as the act itself. Delegation, when guided effectively, multiplies results. It also teaches observation. By overseeing work, you learn the strengths, weaknesses, and motivations of those around you. This intelligence allows you to assign tasks strategically, maximize efficiency, and manage risk. The combination of oversight, guidance, and credit-taking is the foundation of effective power amplification. Even in personal contexts, the law applies. In collaborative projects, group dynamics, or social endeavors, influence grows for those who can harness collective effort while maintaining the perception of leadership. Those who attempt to do everything themselves are limited, while those who orchestrate and consolidate credit expand their impact exponentially. Yet ethical awareness is necessary. This law does not condone blatant exploitation or dishonesty. It is a strategy for amplification, visibility, and influence. The goal is efficiency, perception management, and reputation consolidation. Done thoughtfully, it motivates others, amplifies results, and elevates influence while preserving relationships and trust. History illustrates the subtle power of this principle. Consider Henry Ford. The assembly line transformed manufacturing, but it was Ford's orchestration, vision, and branding that positioned him as the face of innovation. Workers executed processes, engineers designed mechanisms, but public perception credited Ford. This is the art of leveraging effort while maintaining authority, a careful balance of delegation, guidance, and recognition. The psychological component cannot be overstated. Humans naturally attribute success to visible figures. The less visible labor is, the more the leader appears capable. By managing visibility, guiding perception, and consolidating credit, influence is amplified. Those who master this law harness not only effort, but perception, creating an ecosystem where success flows to them naturally. Practical mastery involves 3 steps. First, identify capable contributors. Surround yourself with talent, skills, and knowledge that complement your objectives. Second, guide work strategically. Ensure that tasks align with overall vision and goals. Third, manage recognition carefully. Associate outcomes with your guidance while subtly acknowledging contributors in ways that reinforce loyalty without diminishing authority. Timing, perception, and subtlety are paramount. Overclaiming credit invites envy, resistance, or sabotage. Underclaiming allows others to overshadow your influence. The mastery of this law lies in balancing visibility with delegation, recognition with control, and authority with subtle acknowledgement. This law also highlights the importance of adaptability. Different individuals and situations require different approaches to credit and acknowledgement. Understanding human motivation, perception, and ego is essential. Those who master this aspect consistently maintain influence, command loyalty, and maximize results. Ultimately, power is about leverage. Your own energy, talent, and capacity are finite. Others' efforts, when guided effectively, become extensions of your influence. By orchestrating labor, managing perception, and consolidating recognition, you amplify your authority far beyond personal limits. Success appears to flow effortlessly because influence is carefully cultivated, executed, and perceived. Those who ignore this law overextend themselves, limit impact, and risk being overshadowed by those they attempt to lead. Those who master it conserve energy, multiply results, and maintain the perception of brilliance, authority, and competence. Influence grows not only from what you do, but from how your success is perceived by others.
Law 8.
Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Power is rarely seized through force alone. Those who rush forward, confront, or pursue often expend unnecessary energy, expose themselves to risk, and invite resistance. True mastery lies in positioning, in patience, in guiding others to your advantage without appearing aggressive or desperate. This is the essence of the eighth law of power. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. The principle is simple yet profound. Attract, lure, and entice rather than chase. When others come to you, they enter your domain, act on your terms, and are influenced by your presence and strategy. You maintain control, conserve energy, and shape the interaction in your favor. The moment you pursue blindly, you surrender leverage and invite opposition. History provides vivid examples. Consider the legendary tacticians of warfare, such as Hannibal or Sun Tzu. They understood that battles are not won by brute force alone, but by positioning and manipulation. By creating conditions that drew enemies into traps, advantageous terrain, or psychological disadvantage, they turned pursuit into their own tool. The enemy acted, the strategist reacted strategically, and victory became a product of cunning rather than sheer force. The law also applies to negotiation, relationships, and leadership. If you always chase, you appear eager, reactive, and vulnerable. If you position yourself as the prize, as the authority, or as the source of value, others are compelled to approach you, submit to your terms, and respect your boundaries. The dynamic shifts. Energy flows to you rather than away from you. Influence is maximized, risk is minimized, and outcomes are shaped without overt confrontation. The bait is central to this strategy. It can take many forms: opportunity, allure, mystery, information, or desire. It is the element that draws others forward. Like a fisherman casting a line, the bait must be enticing but carefully calibrated. Too much, and it appears manipulative. Too little, and it fails to attract. Mastery lies in balance, timing, and understanding what motivates those you wish to guide. Consider diplomacy. Leaders who create incentives, offer subtle promises, or position opportunities often achieve more than those who demand, chase, or coerce. By allowing others to approach on terms set by the strategist, the appearance of initiative remains with them, while control remains with you. The result is influence without overt pressure, power without resistance. Even in social dynamics, this law is evident. People are naturally drawn to those who appear confident, self-possessed, and unattainable. The more you position yourself as a source of value, guidance, or insight, the more others seek your attention, approval, or participation. When you chase, you weaken perception. When you attract, you consolidate authority. There is also a psychological advantage. People feel empowered when they take action toward something desired. By making others come to you, you allow them to commit, invest, and engage voluntarily, while you retain control of the environment, terms, and pace. Influence is far more effective when it appears chosen rather than imposed. History offers further illustration. The great merchants of the Silk Road, for example, did not force trade, but created desirable goods, advantageous conditions, and reputations that drew buyers from afar. Artists, thinkers, and innovators who cultivated mystique, Demand or prestige attracted attention, patronage, and influence without needing to pursue constantly. The result is a flow of opportunity toward the strategist rather than wasted effort in pursuit. In personal and professional life, this law teaches patience, positioning, and understanding of human motivation. Identify what others desire, what they seek, and what they value. Present it subtly, strategically, and consistently. Allow them to act, decide, and approach on terms favorable to your objectives. The illusion of initiative remains with them, but control remains with you. Even in competitive contexts, this law is powerful. Rivals who chase reactively expend energy, reveal intentions, and risk missteps. Those who attract strategically maintain composure, conserve energy, and shape outcomes. Positioning, allure, and strategic patience become tools of dominance, while pursuit becomes a liability for others. There is also a subtle interplay with perception. By controlling the environment, the narrative, and the conditions, you influence not only action but belief. Others perceive themselves as active, independent participants, even as their behavior aligns with your strategic design. Influence flows quietly, effectively, and often imperceptibly. The law requires self-discipline. Patience is essential. The strategist who rushes, acts impulsively, or overextends loses advantage. Those who bait skillfully understand that timing amplifies effectiveness. Opportunity must appear natural, desired, and within reach. Misjudgment undermines credibility, dilutes influence, and risks resistance. Reputation and visibility enhance the effect of this law. Those who are known for value, competence, or allure attract attention effortlessly. People come seeking insight, guidance, or opportunity. When combined with strategic bait, the effect is magnified, the approach is voluntary, perception is favorable, and influence is consolidated. Consider negotiation again. A savvy negotiator who positions the terms, sets conditions, and allows the counterpart to approach retains authority, frames the conversation, and guides outcomes. Chasing, reacting, or pushing overtly diminishes control. Influence resides in the one who sets the stage, not the one who pursues it. The law also teaches leverage. By attracting action rather than initiating it, you create efficiency. Resources, energy, and attention flow toward you, reducing expenditure and increasing impact. Control is preserved, risk is minimized, and perception is favorable. Influence, therefore, is amplified with minimal visible effort. Mastering this law requires subtlety, observation, and strategic patience. Identify desires, craft incentives, and present conditions that attract. Control timing, visibility, and perception. Allow others to act, invest, and engage voluntarily while outcomes align with your objectives. Influence is greatest when action appears independent but serves your design. Even in personal development, the principle applies. Opportunities, relationships, and alliances are drawn toward those who cultivate value, presence, and strategic allure. By positioning yourself as desirable, capable, and unattainable in measured ways, you attract engagement, attention, and cooperation naturally. Effort is minimized, influence is maximized. Ultimately, this law emphasizes the power of strategic positioning over reactive pursuit. Power resides in the one who controls the environment, frames perception, and guides action subtly. By making others come to you,
Using bait if necessary, you retain authority, conserve energy, and shape outcomes. Influence is amplified, control is maintained, and the strategist moves through life with quiet mastery. Remember, those who chase often exhaust themselves. Those who attract move strategically. Positioning, patience, and allure transform action into influence. Make others come to you. Use bait if necessary. And your power multiplies silently, efficiently, and irresistibly.
Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Words are cheap. Anyone can argue, reason, or debate, but very few can act decisively and produce tangible results. Power is not built on persuasion alone, nor on convincing others through endless debate. Influence is forged through action, demonstration, and outcomes. This is the essence of the 9th law of power. Win through your actions, never through argument. Arguments create resistance. No matter how logical, reasonable, or eloquent your words are, people are naturally defensive. They cling to their opinions, identities, and beliefs. Convincing someone through debate alone often breeds resentment, opposition, or superficial compliance. Even when you win an argument, you may lose influence, respect, or trust. Action, on the other hand, is undeniable. Results speak louder than words. When you demonstrate competence, skill, and decisiveness, others are compelled to acknowledge your authority. Success silences critics, shifts perceptions, and consolidates power. Influence grows organically, not through persuasion, but through visible, tangible outcomes. History is filled with examples. Consider Alexander the Great. He did not merely debate strategy. He led armies, conquered territories, and created a legacy through action. His victories silenced skeptics, inspired followers, and intimidated adversaries. Arguments about his methods or tactics were irrelevant in the face of results. Power was established by what he achieved, not by what he could explain. Even in everyday life, this principle holds true. Leaders who rely on rhetoric without follow-through may temporarily impress, but they fail to inspire lasting respect or loyalty. Those who act decisively, even quietly, command attention, establish credibility, and influence outcomes. People remember deeds, not speeches. Outcomes outweigh explanations. This law also teaches the inefficiency of debate. Arguments consume time, energy, and emotional resources. They create friction, invite resistance, and rarely change deep-seated opinions. By contrast, action is efficient, clear, and authoritative. It eliminates uncertainty, demonstrates competence, and reinforces credibility. Influence grows because results are undeniable and observable. Consider negotiation. Words alone rarely secure compliance. Demonstrated capability, readiness, and follow-through create leverage. When others witness your ability to act effectively, they adjust their behavior, comply with requests, and respect boundaries. Action becomes a language of power, communicating far more than words ever could. There is also a psychological advantage. Humans are naturally persuaded by demonstration. Seeing, experiencing, or benefiting from tangible results shapes perception more profoundly than reasoning. People are compelled to align with outcomes they perceive as effective, beneficial, or inevitable. Argument cannot replicate this effect. Action can. Even in conflict, this law applies. Those who argue endlessly often exhaust themselves and inflame opposition. Those who act decisively, demonstrating capability and resolve, shape the battlefield in their favor. Control flows from tangible results, not from vocal insistence. Influence is earned through execution, not debate. History provides additional examples. Consider Leonardo da Vinci. Many argued about art, science, and invention, but da Vinci's work spoke for itself. His achievements, inventions, and masterpieces commanded respect, influence, and admiration. Discussion about his ideas was secondary to the undeniable impact of his creations. Action established authority.
Argument was unnecessary. Practical mastery involves demonstrating value through visible outcomes. Focus on results, solutions, and achievements, rather than verbal persuasion. Let your actions communicate your competence, intentions, and authority. When results are evident, words become unnecessary. They only serve to reinforce what is already proven. This law also teaches patience and strategic timing. Acting decisively requires awareness of context, opportunity, and consequence. Blind action without purpose can backfire. The key is measured, purposeful, and visible action that aligns with objectives. Timing amplifies impact, and observation ensures actions resonate with perception. Even in personal relationships, this principle holds true. Trying to convince someone through debate rarely fosters lasting influence. Demonstrating care, reliability, competence, and integrity through consistent behavior creates trust, respect, and alignment. People respond more to observed action than to persuasive argument. Influence grows naturally when behavior embodies the message. Consider entrepreneurs and innovators. The most influential figures rarely convince the world through explanation alone. They create products, solutions, and experiences that demonstrate value. The public responds to utility, success, and outcomes, not rhetoric. Action shapes perception, builds reputation, and consolidates authority. Arguments are secondary. This law also highlights restraint. Speak less about what you intend to achieve, let results speak for themselves. Excessive explanation or justification undermines authority, invites skepticism, and diminishes influence. Those who master the art of action maintain clarity, control, and credibility by demonstrating rather than debating. Leaders, strategists, and influencers who embrace this principle conserve energy, maximize impact, and build enduring authority. Action creates momentum. It shapes perception. It compels alignment. Words without follow-through may impress momentarily, but they cannot generate lasting influence. The world remembers those who deliver, not those who argue. Even subtle actions matter. Everyday choices, behaviors, and decisions contribute to perception and influence. Demonstrate reliability, competence, and strategic foresight consistently. Small, deliberate actions accumulate into significant results. Arguments about intent or capability are unnecessary when results are visible. History offers countless lessons in this regard. Mahatma Gandhi influenced millions not through aggressive argument, but through deliberate, nonviolent action. His marches, fasting, and civil disobedience demonstrated power and moral authority in ways words alone could not. Action shaped perception, inspired followers, and achieved results. Argument alone would never have sufficed. Practical application also involves strategic patience. Observe, plan, and act in ways that produce visible outcomes. Avoid wasting energy in futile debates. Allow action to communicate intent, competence, and authority. Influence is magnified when results speak for themselves. This law also underscores efficiency. Every argument is an opportunity lost to demonstrate value through action. Every wasted word is a potential exposure to resistance or misunderstanding. By prioritizing action, you control narrative, consolidate influence, and achieve objectives with minimal friction. Results, not rhetoric, are the language of power. Finally, this law teaches credibility. Actions are measurable, observable, and verifiable. Argument is subjective, vulnerable to interpretation, and prone to dispute. By winning through action, you remove ambiguity, assert authority, and establish influence that is difficult to challenge. Power resides in what is done, not what is said. Remember, win through your actions, never through argument. Results speak louder than words. Influence grows when competence is demonstrated, outcomes are undeniable, and authority is established through tangible achievement. Debate may amuse, persuade momentarily, or impress superficially, but action builds legacy, credibility, and lasting power. Act decisively, demonstrate consistently, and let your achievements communicate what words cannot. Influence, respect, and authority will follow, quietly, powerfully, and undeniably.
Law 10. Infection.
Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Emotions, like diseases, are contagious. The moods, attitudes, and energies of those around us subtly influence our own behavior, decisions, and perspective. The 10th law of power warns us: avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Association with negativity, misfortune, or chronic pessimism can infect your mind, dilute your energy, and ultimately compromise your influence. The principle is simple: misery spreads. People who constantly complain, wallow in failure, or radiate despair draw attention away from opportunity, weaken morale, and cloud judgment. Their influence is subtle but pervasive, seeping into decision-making, relationships, and even your self-perception. Aligning with them diminishes power, while distancing yourself preserves clarity, confidence, and momentum. History offers numerous examples. Consider the court intrigues of Renaissance Italy. Leaders who associated with advisors, allies, or friends consumed by envy, bitterness, or misfortune often saw their fortunes decline. The negative energy of those around them eroded judgment, encouraged impulsive decisions, and invited disaster. Conversely, those who carefully curated their circles, choosing optimism, competence, and strategic insight, maintained authority, influence, and stability. The contagious nature of unhappiness is not merely psychological. It has tangible consequences. Chronic negativity leads to indecision, lack of initiative, and errors in judgment. In social and professional settings, it undermines morale, sows doubt, and diminishes the perception of competence. Those who fail to recognize and avoid such influences are often dragged down by forces beyond their immediate control. Consider entrepreneurs and business leaders. Teams are profoundly influenced by their environment. A single negative, unlucky, or pessimistic individual can spread doubt, hesitation, and low morale, eroding productivity and stifling innovation. Leaders who isolate themselves from such influence while cultivating relationships with motivated, skilled, and optimistic collaborators consistently outperform those who tolerate persistent negativity. The law is not merely about avoiding complaints or temporary frustration. It targets chronic patterns, repeated misfortune, habitual pessimism, and consistent emotional contagion. These individuals rarely change. Their behavior, energy, and outlook act as anchors, weighing down those around them. Association becomes a liability even when skills or past achievements are present. Even in personal life, this principle holds. Relationships with constantly negative or unlucky individuals drain emotional resources, distort perspective, and subtly shape behavior. By avoiding these influences, you preserve emotional energy, maintain strategic focus, and protect your ability to act decisively. Power thrives in positive, motivated, and resilient environments. History illustrates this law vividly. Napoleon Bonaparte, despite his brilliance, carefully avoided counselors and generals whose repeated failures or pessimism threatened strategy and morale. He surrounded himself with competent, decisive, and confident allies. The avoidance of misfortune and negativity was as strategic as battlefield planning. Success, in part, flowed from his selective association. The psychological mechanism is clear. Human behavior is influenced not only by reason, but by emotion.
The moods of those around us affect decision-making, risk assessment, and confidence. Negative influences can induce hesitation, self-doubt, and poor judgment. Positive, successful, and resilient influences reinforce confidence, clarity, and strategic thinking. Power grows where influence is beneficial, not contagious in its destructiveness. This law also highlights the importance of perception. Chronic unhappiness or misfortune is often interpreted as weakness, incompetence, or instability. Associating with such individuals can tarnish your reputation by proximity. Others perceive influence through social networks, alliances, and connections. Carefully managing association preserves credibility, enhances reputation, and maintains authority. Consider modern contexts, such as business or politics. Leaders who tolerate negativity or misfortune risk attracting scandals, missteps, or perception of instability. Conversely, those who align with optimistic, skilled, and fortunate allies create a perception of competence, resilience, and momentum. Influence flows not only from action, but from the quality of association. Practical mastery involves vigilance, assessment, and decisive action. Observe the energy, patterns, and outcomes of those around you. Identify chronic sources of negativity or misfortune. Distance yourself strategically while reinforcing relationships with productive, competent, and positive individuals. Influence is strengthened through careful curation of your social and professional environment. This law also emphasizes proactive behavior. Avoidance does not mean abandonment without foresight. In some cases, minimal engagement or controlled exposure may be necessary, but emotional and strategic boundaries must be maintained. Preserve energy, protect perception, and prevent the subtle erosion of influence. Even subtle negativity can be damaging. Complaints, self-pity, or repeated recounting of misfortune sap confidence and cloud judgment. By recognizing these patterns and minimizing exposure, you maintain clarity, emotional stability, and the ability to act decisively. Influence is not only about personal competence, but also about the environment in which you operate. History provides further insight. Many monarchs and generals succeeded or failed based on the emotional climate of their inner circles. Negative advisors, pessimistic counselors, and unlucky allies created vulnerability, eroded morale, and magnified risk. Conversely, careful selection of resilient, competent, and optimistic allies amplified effectiveness, influence, and power. The law also underscores personal responsibility. Do not assume that proximity to negativity is inevitable. Seek environments, relationships, and collaborations that reinforce resilience, competence, and opportunity. Protect yourself from contagion while positioning yourself among those whose success, optimism, and energy enhance influence and outcomes. Even in subtle contexts, the law applies. Casual social interactions, repeated exposure to pessimism, or habitual alignment with misfortune can cumulatively erode confidence and strategic clarity. Avoiding these patterns ensures emotional stability, strategic foresight, and sustained influence. Power flows where energy is positive, focused, and unimpeded by the weight of chronic negativity. Mastering this law requires discernment. Not every setback or expression of unhappiness warrants avoidance. Distinguish between temporary adversity and chronic patterns. Engage selectively, protect energy, and maintain boundaries that preserve influence.
Those who fail to do so risk being drawn into the orbit of negativity, limiting potential and compromising decision-making. Ultimately, the law teaches that influence is shaped not only by personal action, but by the energy and outcomes of those around you. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Associate with the competent, motivated, and positive. Protect perception, preserve energy, and maintain the clarity required for decisive action. Influence grows where positivity and success thrive, not where misfortune and despair proliferate. Remember, negativity is contagious. Misfortune spreads like infection. Guard yourself, distance strategically, and align with those who elevate, not diminish your influence. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky, and your power, energy, and potential.
You've just unlocked the first 10 laws, the foundation of true power. But there's still much more hidden behind the mask of human nature. If you're ready to go deeper, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join me in Part 2, Laws 11 to 20. The journey to mastery has only just begun.